Last week, we conducted a contest here about the dumbest Democrat right now in elected office. And I'll be honest with you, we're still tabulating the votes. The comments continue to come in, but it's neck and neck and neck right now. And you were right to also include other nominees like Maxine Waters and Hank Johnson, et cetera, et cetera. But I got to tell you, there's one woman who seems to be, in my mind, pulling away with it right now. She, of course, would be the fine Congresswoman from Texas with the eyelashes, Jasmine Crockett. And she was at it again over the weekend, this one having to do with her expertise in international affairs and the history of Eastern Europe, especially the ongoing conflict over borders between Russia and Ukraine. Oh, no. She's forgotten more about this than you'll ever know. Just watch.
Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House. And as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. He swore an oath just like the rest of us. But right now, when you are literally putting us at risk, all because of what? Because you want to convince your followers that you should be a dictator too, that you should never leave the White House because you don't believe that elections should take place. I don't really understand what is going on. And I don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up.
Yeah, she doesn't understand what's going on. She is being honest about that. Can we break this down moment by moment here? Because I love that at MSNBC, they take her seriously, that her opinion is a valued one and is worth respect and thoughtful introspection.
So unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House. And
okay, first of all, occupying, that's like illegitimate president talk, like he stole the election kind of talk. He's not residing in the White House. He's occupying the White House, like he took it over, like it was a coup. That's that kind of talk. She chooses her words carefully, I promise you.
As far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States.
The president is an enemy to the United States. But, that's not January 6th kind of talk or anything. That's not insurrection-y talk. That's that we're toning down the language here kind of talk, right? All right, keep going.
He swore an oath just like the rest of us. But right now,
he swore an oath just like the rest of us. And it's true, by the way. Every single elected official basically swears the same oath, which is to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, right? So you're protecting the Constitution, Jasmine. And I'm sorry, I'm just curious. What does that constitute? I know you swore an oath to protect it, and now you're grandstanding about it and suggesting that Trump is in violation of that Constitution, and you're trying to protect it from, apparently, you believe, a domestic enemy. I'm just curious, Jasmine, Congresswoman Crockett, forgive me in my impertinence. What does that Constitution that you are now defending, what does that Constitution say about who conducts the foreign policy of the United States of America, and who's the commander-in-chief of our military, and who makes determinations about giving aid and military equipment and military aid and security assurances and trade negotiations with those foreign countries? Who does that? What does that Constitution say about that specifically, and about who gets to call those shots? By the way, while we're at it, the occupant of the White House, he's occupying that house because he won an election rather overwhelmingly. And I'm pretty sure what he's doing right now with regard to our relationship with Ukraine, our allies in Europe, and with Russia is literally precisely exactly what he said he would do when he was running. And again, that Constitution that you swore an oath to protect that you're referring to here, pretty sure it lays out that when you win that election and you become the head of the executive branch, well, that's sort of your responsibility. And he's, in fact, fulfilling that responsibility. But she's got more here. Let's follow.
When you are literally putting us at risk,
he is literally putting us all at risk. Not figuratively, literally. So if we don't give Ukraine security assurances and an open checkbook, if we don't continue the moronic policy of whatever it takes, however long it takes, and however much it costs, we stand with Ukraine to the very end. If you don't adhere to that, you are literally putting America at risk. Could you show your work, please, and explain how that puts us at risk? Literally. Could you? I would have loved to have been able to follow up on any one of these points that we've already we're only 14 seconds into this, and I've already got a lot of follow-ups, but the potted plant sitting there on the studio set doesn't seem to think of any of this. None of it occurs to her.
Because of what? Because you want to convince your followers that you should be a dictator too, that you should never leave the White House?
What the hell is she talking about? What the hell? No, seriously, what the hell is she talking about? We are literally criticizing Zelensky because he's the one who has suspended elections. He's the one who is staying in office, despite the fact that he should have had elections by now. What is this? How is Trump, by saying, no, we're not taking sides in this, we want to bring peace and end this war, and we're not going to give you a blank check again. You were insulting us and insulting to our country, and you've been ungrateful from the beginning. By the way, there's reports that Biden was pissed off at Zelensky for being ungrateful and being obnoxious behind the scenes too. I mean, here's the thing about Americans. If you live in a city that has like panhandlers or homeless people who are living on the street and they look sad and they look pathetic and they're humble and they're, it's one thing. I don't advise it. I don't think it's good to just throw money, but that's your business. You can adhere to Christ's admonition that we should love our neighbor and that we should feed the hungry and house the homeless. You can follow through with that in whatever way you wish, whether it's through your church and your charitable groups that are set up through the church that you adhere to, or through private charities, or if you think, giving people money on the street is a way to do it, that fine, up to you. I'm not judging you. But what I'm saying is, in general, Americans who do feel warm-hearted to a beggar asking for money, generally speaking, we don't like the obnoxious, rude, in-your-face beggar who's basically not really acting like a beggar. They're acting like a threatening mugger, right? That we don't like. That we tend to not open up our wallet for. If you're missing the analogy, Zelensky's the beggar in this picture. And he's not acting humble and grateful and down on his luck. Not after he does his Vogue cover spreads with his wife and shows up at, the Oscars or what have you. No, no humility going on there. And there's no gratitude and there's no, oh, please, I need this. Please, they would be lost without it. No, it's like, give me the money or else. That's not begging. He sort of lost the plot there. All right, but in no way by saying no and challenging that and saying maybe we should recalibrate this relationship, are you then suddenly saying, because I'm going to be a dictator. But if you're Jasmine Crockett, apparently that's the only possible interpretation.
Because you don't believe that elections should take place. I don't really understand what is going on, and I don't know.
All right, I think that's the only truthful statement there in that entire thing. She does not understand what's going on. Therefore, she should, of course, be booked on MSNBC at all times. By the way, she recently chimed in about this whole thing with our friend Charlemagne the God over at Breakfast Club. And we'll just take a listen to this interesting observation. And bear in mind, she's very concerned about Donald Trump being an enemy of our country, and he's violating the oath to the Constitution that they all took. Remember that as you listen to this.
Really been the one to call it out. The fact that I'm rooting for Canada and I'm rooting for Mexico a lot is really wild, but they are really the ones that are speaking truth to power right now. They can see what it is, and they were like, we are not messing with this crazy regime from Mar-a-Lago, and basically calling them thugs. That's what it is. But I'm like, y'all knew who he was when y'all elected him, so don't act surprised.
All right. So in a international trade and tariff showdown between U.S., Canada, and Mexico, there's your congresswoman from Texas going on the record proclaiming that she is, in fact, using her words, rooting for Canada and Mexico. So she is literally rooting for a foreign country against the United States. Now, it's one thing if you do that in the hockey game, although even then, that's pretty close to treason too, because it's freaking USA hockey. But when you're a sitting congresswoman and you are proclaiming out in the open, not mincing your words, that you are rooting for a foreign country in a trade and tariff negotiation with the United States of America, you are rooting for them. You are hoping that they will get the better end of this, that they will have the superior position to us, to America. It seems to me, if Jasmine Crockett is looking for the enemy of the country and someone who is violating the oath to the Constitution, I think the phone call's coming from inside the House of Representatives.